Andrew offended King Charles by allegedly committing numerous heinous sex crimes as part of his years-long association with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, Prince Andrew so offended the king that this week Charles started the process of stripping him of his prince title and evicting him from the royal mansion.
Yeah.
That's a nothing-ass penalty. They punished the other boy more for marrying a black woman. Like,
And that was consensual.
Andy was able to pay Giuffre a reportedly multi-million-dollar settlement in a civil case in 2022. Question: what's weird about Andy being able to pay a multi-million-dollar settlement?
He ain't got no job.
I love how both of y'all said it kind of the black way. He ain't got no job. They don't know how he's funding his lifestyle, despite having not been a working royal since 2019.
The hell is a working royal?
I know. Which one of them got a job?
This isn't a job.
There were also calls as well for him to give up his royal mansion after the sweetheart deal on his rent was publicized. So, question for the panel. According to his lease, what was the rent amount that Andy paid for the mansion? And for the record, this is the mansion.
$8 billion.
I'm going to play by Price is Right rules. I'm going to say £1 per year leased from the royal family.
For the past 20 years, Andy has been required to pay 1 peppercorn per annum if demanded. If demanded.
A peppercorn?
What the fuck is a peppercorn? Like a literal, like.
But not that whole thing.
No,
Just open that up and then take one out.
2 years rent, right
That's
there.
it.
Would you like more rent on your pasta? Just say what?
In the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace, where crowns gleam under chandeliers forged from centuries of colonial plunder, the British monarchy has long perfected the art of selective outrage. It's an institution that drapes itself in the Union Jack of moral superiority, yet stumbles over its own tangled web of scandals like a drunken lord at a fox hunt. The latest chapter in this farce? King Charles III's belated decision to strip his brother, Prince Andrew, of his royal titles and evict him from the opulent Royal Lodge, a sprawling 30-room mansion that served as a taxpayer-funded sanctuary for a man accused of heinous sex crimes. But let's pause the pomp and circumstance for a moment of brutal honesty. This punishment arrives 7 years after Andrew's grotesque Epstein entanglement exploded into public view, and it feels less like justice and more like a theatrical afterthought. Meanwhile, back in 2023, the same crown-wearing clan wasted no time booting Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex from Frogmore Cottage, the modest home gifted to them by Queen Elizabeth II. Harry footed a £2.5 million bill to renovate the dilapidated pile, repaying every penny to the public purse, only to be unceremoniously shown the door. All because he dared to marry a brilliant biracial American woman who refused to dim her light for the firm's flickering candle of relevance. Oh, the irony is thicker than the fog over the Thames. If Harry had swapped vows with an underage victim of international sex trafficking instead of Meghan Sussex, perhaps he'd have been upgraded to Windsor Castle with a side of knighthood. That's the grotesque takeaway from a razor-sharp American comedy news segment that recently eviscerated the monarchy's double standards, turning what could have been dry reporting into a blistering indictment of royal rot. In the clip, host Roy Wood Jr. leans into the camera with the precision of a surgeon wielding a scalpel, laying bare the absurdity Prince Andrew offended King Charles by allegedly committing numerous heinous sex crimes as part of his years-long association with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, Prince Andrew so offended the king that this week Charles started the process of stripping him off his prince title and evicting him from the royal mansion. Yeah, that's a nothing-arse penalty. They punished the other boy more for marrying a black woman, and that was consensual. The segment, aired amid the fresh headlines of Andrew's demotion in late October 2025, doesn't just poke fun, it disembowels. Wood Jr. juxtaposes Andrew's penalty with Harry's swift exile, highlighting how the Windsors tolerated a predator in their midst for decades while treating interracial love like a capital offence. Andy was able to pay Giuffre a reportedly multi-million-dollar settlement in a civil case in 2022, the host quips, referring to Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accusers, who alleged Andrew abused her as a teenager. Question: what's weird about Andy being able to pay a multi-million-dollar settlement? He ain't got no job. The punchline lands like a guillotine, underscoring the mystery of how a disgraced duke, stripped of duties since 2019, sustains a lifestyle of private jets and polo ponies. Cue the panel's eruption in laughter, but beneath it lurks a damning truth: Andrew's funding. A black hole of royal opacity, likely siphoned from the sovereign grant, the very public funds that could have reimbursed Harry's renovations. And speaking of that sweetheart deal, let's dive headfirst into the farce of Andrew's living arrangements. For 2 decades, he's squatted rent-free, well, almost, in Royal Lodge, a property valued at over £30 million. His lease? A nominal 1 peppercorn per annum if demanded. Wood Jr. feigns confusion with mock horror. A peppercorn? What the fuck is a peppercorn? The explanation follows. A single worthless spice kernel, symbolising feudal-era rents that bind tenants in eternal servitude without actual cost. 2 years' rent right there, jokes a panellist, miming plucking a lone pepper from a jar. It's hilarious until you remember this isn't satire, it's fact. While Andrew lolled in luxury, paying less than a pub lunch for his palace, Harry and Meghan Sussex poured their own fortune into Frogmore, transforming a mouldy, outdated cottage into a family haven. They lived there for less than 2 years before Charles yanked the rug out, citing their step back from royal duties. No refund for the upgrades, no apology for the insult, just a cold eviction notice, delivered like a Dear John letter from Granny's ghost. This isn't mere mismanagement, it's malice wrapped in Magna Carta mythology. The monarchy, that self-proclaimed beacon of tradition and decency, has a storied history of shielding its own from accountability. Andrew's Epstein ties, brushed off with a BBC interview disaster in 2019, followed by years of quiet indulgence. He jetted to the Island of Horrors, posed for that infamous photo with a teenage Joufre, and settled her lawsuit for £12 million, rumoured to include public money funneled through opaque channels, yet clung to his titles and trappings until public pressure boiled over in 2025. Contrast that with Harry's crime, falling in love with Meghan Sussex, a woman whose very existence challenges the monarchy's lily-white legacy. Their 2018 wedding was hailed as a modern fairy tale, but the fairy tale curdled fast. Leaks, smears, and outright racism poisoned the well. Remember the pregnancy speculations about Archie's skin colour, or the palace's refusal to denounce the bigotry. By 2023, Frogmore's keys were confiscated, not because of scandal, but because Meghan Sussex wouldn't play the silent, suffering duchess. She spoke out, she thrived, and for that, the firm retaliated with eviction. The comedy segment captures this venom perfectly, turning royal euphemisms into gut-punch zingers. The hell is a working royal, Wood Jr. demands, mocking the panel's befuddlement over Andrew's jobless opulence. It's a question that echoes across the Atlantic, where Americans gawk at this anachronistic circus. The British public, too, is tiring of the charade. Polls show support for the monarchy dipping below 60% for the first time in decades, with younger generations viewing it as a relic of empire and entitlement. Yet Charles dithers, prioritising blood over justice. He heckled protesters in Samoa over Andrew's scandals, but where was that spine when Harry begged for protection from the press hounds that hounded his mother to death? The king gifted Frogmore to his grandson as a gesture of familial warmth, only to reclaim it as a bargaining chip in a petty power play. Imagine the reversal. Andrew, post-settlement, shipped off to some drafty outpost while Harry and Meghan Sussex are handed Royal Lodge on a silver platter. The Windsor's hierarchy of horrors, where paedophilia gets a peppercorn pardon and racial progress a pink slip, exposes the institution's core rot. It's not just hypocritical, it's hazardous. By coddling Andrew, the monarchy signals that power trumps victims. Privilege excuses perversion. Harry's eviction, meanwhile, reeks of the same old imperial snobbery. Know your place, it whispers to anyone who dares diversify the dynasty. As the segment wraps with laughter masking outrage, would you like more rent on your posse? Just say the word, one can't help but wonder. How long will the world applaud this pantomime? The British monarchy, once the envy of empires, now staggers under the weight of its own irrelevance. Charles's reforms feel like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Too late, too timid. Harry and Meghan Sussex, exiled but unbroken, have built an empire of authenticity in California, their Netflix deals and podcasts outshining the firm's faded pageantry. Perhaps that's the real eviction, not from a house, but from a heartless heritage. Until the monarchy confronts its demons, racism, nepotism, the cult of untouchability. It deserves every roast, every recoil. And if a single peppercorn is the price of Andrew's sins, then the crown's currency is bankruptcy.